So every internet guru tells you to start a business in your 20s. The reality is that just doesn't work because you have no skills and you're just not ready. So all businesses are just providing some kind of value in exchange for money. That's all it is. And most 20-year-olds are not valuable to a business person yet. Not that they can't be, and most aren't in their early 20s. So for example, when I first got out of college, I had the degree, and like everyone, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm set. But then you realize the world hits you in the face pretty hard, and there just aren't those kinds of high-paying jobs like you thought there would be. Now that can be the case in some instances, but generally that's not. So for me, I went into the property management world, and I went to work for a company in Seattle, and I went there because I wanted to learn how to invest in properties. And this company managed thousands of units all over the greater Washington state area. And so built into there, I had systems, I had mentors, I had coaches, I had people that had been doing it longer. And so I now had a community of people that was supporting me in my adventure and my journey, and that were all very, very supportive in making me better than I was when I first started there. And it wasn't until I was 28, 29 years old that I actually started my first business. So I ended up getting all those skills and having a niche and being very good at something. Then, of course, that was valuable to the world. It took me 6 or 7 years to get my start and have the confidence to be able to go out and start my own business, which is what I did when I was 29 years old. Fast forward 30 years, now I've got a huge business worth over $2 billion. And the main thing is just to develop a skill. Hopefully it's something that you really, really like, because then it will never really feel like work. And then you have to master it. So there's a saying that when you have performed over 10,000 hours of something, then you start to reach mastery. That's really what you need. And for me, it was property management. I had seen so many situations with residents, with vendors, with investors, and cash flow and non-cash flow and issues that come with property investment, that by the time I got the confidence to go out and do it myself, I felt like I had done quite a bit at that point. Once I developed a lot of those base skills as property management, and I became very, very good at that niche, I continued to develop those skills even when I went out to start my own business. What I became known for was my property management experience and being able to turn around projects, because I had actually done it before, and it was way different than reading a book or taking a short class or watching a video. Actually, doing the real thing builds the wisdom. So one is knowledge and the other is wisdom. And there's wisdom that comes from actually doing things. Knowledge comes from reading books, watching videos, and those kinds of things, and there's nothing wrong with that. You also have to do that too. But just having knowledge or reading something, it's like if you're going to learn how to play golf, you actually have to play golf. You can't just watch a YouTube video on it. So at 20 years old, most people don't have that kind of wisdom. When a 20-year-old approaches me to come to work for my company, I always look for a couple things. The first one is, what can they bring? What skill do they have that I don't know anything about? That can be tech, it could be websites, it could be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it could be anything, well, those kinds of things that a lot of old people don't know, for example. The second one would be, what do they want? If they have the confidence in themselves that they will work for free, even though it might not always end up being free, then I know that they have the confidence to deliver value to the company. So whenever somebody says, I can do these things, I can help your business, and I'll do it for free, you only have to pay me if I'm able to perform, then there's almost no way that I can lose in that scenario. So when you have somebody that says, I can do this for your company, I can make you a lot of money, and I'll do it for free, you know that they have the confidence and they're going to do it. And if they don't, you've lost nothing. So when somebody comes to you with those kinds of things, it means that they're confident, they know that they can do it, and they're going to probably be super successful and very wealthy in their lifetime. So most people, no matter what the age, always come to an employer with a what's in it for me. Always. They always want to know, what are they going to do? How much are they going to make? And how's it going to benefit them? And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to be a successful business owner, you can't be thinking that way. You have to be thinking, what can I deliver to the business owner that brings value to them and makes them more money? Because that is the way that you will get in the door. If you come in with a super confident attitude because you actually have experience of being able to deliver value to a business, and you also do it in a way that you say, you don't have to pay me unless I actually make you money and I deliver on what I'm telling you I'm going to do. I perform. There's really a no-lose scenario for the employer. One of the interesting things that you start to realize when you manage lots of people are there are lots of people that have big egos, and there are people that always want to be right, and there are other people that are always curious. They're always open-minded. And those are the people that I want, because the world is full of people and has plenty of people that are never wrong. The world is full of people that are always right. Their world is full of people that always want something from you. It's very rare to have somebody that's super curious, and very rare to have somebody that actually brings value to you. So if you can just figure out to develop a skill that brings value to somebody else, then the world will open up for you. But that's not the majority of what people do. Most people feel a little bit of entitlement about what they've done, what they've made, what they've had, who they know, what they bring to the table, and typically they don't bring anything to the table. The first step is to dial in a niche, be curious, lose the ego, and find a mentor that's in the space that you want to be really good at, and work for them for free. One of the questions I always get asked is, at what point do you transition into a new business? And the answer is, it just really depends on who you are, the mentoring you're getting, the economy, and the situation that's happening at the time. So the first thing you always got to look at, it might not be time to start a business, because maybe it's so revolutionary that you're really going to be pushing a rock uphill for a long period of time. Or maybe the time is now, and then you have to take action. And so don't forget that a business only works if the consumer wants it. So a lot of times people start businesses and they don't really know why, they just want to start a business. But it never works, of course, unless there's somebody paying you for your services. So the first thing, and the thing that's the most paramount, is this a business? Is this a business that solves somebody's problem, makes somebody's life easier, and is sustainable for a long period of time that you can make a lot of money in it? So those are the three things I always look for. You always have to solve somebody's problem. Think of things like Uber or Amazon, which now, of course, are super obvious, but they weren't obvious not that long ago. As long as you always are curious and open-minded and think of those kinds of things, how can I solve somebody's problem and make things easier for the consumer, you'll have a very good business for the rest of your life. Hopefully this sounds obvious that you absolutely positively need to be networking in the space that you're trying to learn in. So for me, I was continually going to continuing education classes as an example, and I developed a network of people that were already in my space. At the time, I was getting my CPM, or my Certified Property Manager's license. And through that, I was able to meet a lot of people that were also in the property management space. They were from all over the country. And of course, I had now a new network of people that I could lean on to ask different things and how things were working, et cetera, like that. And then I also started to get involved in trade organizations. So I was on the Arizona Multi-Housing Association, and I rose up through that over a period of long time. And I eventually became the chairman of the board. And then from there, I got appointed to the National Apartment Association. And each time I did that, it was just networking with more and more people in my space. I was networking with brokers, I was networking with lenders, I was networking with title companies and vendors and contractors and people that I needed, because they were all part of those organizations. And then when I went to the National Apartment Association, I was connected with people across the country that were experiencing the same thing. So as you start to build your career, and for me it was property management at the time, I was trying to be the best that I could in that space, and that's the path that I took. And in every industry, there are those opportunities. In every industry, there are trade organizations, and conventions and networks that people belong to. And it's super important that you go to these things and that you sit down with these people and have coffee with them or lunch with them or dinner, and you start to build these communities outside of where you are today, because my experience has been that there's a lot of really smart people out there, and the only way to really get access to them is to be in the game. So many of you know that I started an annual conference with Tarl Yarber called Limitless Expo. So the reason for this was specifically because business owners and entrepreneurs are actually getting crushed right now with regulation, inflation, high interest rates, capital raising, and all those kinds of things. And my experience has been most investors are always looking for different kinds of investments at all times. In other words, everybody wants to be super diverse in what they're doing, and they want to be around a community of people that are already doing what they're doing, just like I talked about earlier with being part of the National Apartment Association. So now entrepreneurs and business owners can come in one location and network with people that are doing maybe the exact same thing as they're doing, but in a different part of the country. And or they're learning better ways to hone their craft or sharpen their saw so that they can actually make their business more profitable, or even grow it or scale it even bigger. And that is the point of Limitless, is to bring in the people and the experts in the individual niches as people start to navigate business to help them to be able to do that better, quicker, faster, and more efficiently. So Limitless is designed for my younger self to be able to walk into a community of people and fast track things that I wish I would have learned at a younger age. Because there's so many things and so many great things people are doing, but you learn them from doing. You learn it from experience and from wisdom. And so we try to bring people into Limitless that have that wisdom. So as a young person, you can actually fast track yourself so you can get there faster, quicker, and more efficiently. There's a real importance of thinking big picture. Now, this phrase is used a lot. But the reality is, most of us are limited by our own mindset, our belief systems, and the way that we grew up. And so you have to realize as you look around, like for me, for real estate, when I fly into a city, doesn't matter where it is, last time I went to Nashville, I counted there were 15 cranes in the air, all building projects all around downtown Nashville. Now, why is that? And why can't I do that? It's because I don't know how to do that. Somebody somewhere has convinced somebody to sell the land, finance a project, and build a massive building in the middle of downtown Nashville. And this goes on every single place. And so some of you might be playing in a really small pond, like trying to buy one rental house, for example. And there's nothing wrong with starting that way. Why not have a really big mindset around thinking big? Oftentimes, people just have a very limiting belief of their own individual selves, and they need to get out of their own way and free up that space toward doing bigger things. Because I will tell you, it takes the same amount of energy to do a small deal as it takes to do a big deal. Because oftentimes, small deals don't necessarily have a team, and they revolve around one person, which could be you. And big deals could have massive teams involved where you're just managing the team, doing a lot more efficiently with less time. If this was just about working hard, then restaurant owners would be some of the richest people in the world. Same with farmers. You just need to work smart, not just hard. You need to do both. Just to recap, the first thing is you find out what you really love. The second thing is create that niche and really go after it. Do as many things that you can to be the best that you can be in that niche. The third thing is to go out and apply it in the real world for free. It'll start for free, but you need to have the confidence to be able to make money from it as well. There should be no reason any business owner would ever turn you down if you have an incredible niche that they could use and you tell them that you'll do it for free, but just based on the amount of revenue you'll bring them above what they're doing already. Once you start to perform, because you haven't done that yet, you will start to realize that you'll start to scale and you get more clients. And then at that point, you should really take a look at, should you start your own business? Should you start your own business, and are you ready? And then, of course, there's a whole nother textbook for that. This is about scaling and growing your business and growing a corporate culture. Chapter 1 is just finding a niche and growing it and starting to get clients. Chapter 2 is actually starting a business, and it'll be difficult and hard and rocky. And then Chapter 3 is actually scaling that business. So go do Chapter 1, and then you'll know when you're ready for Chapter 2. If you are starting a business, there are 3 critical questions that you need to be able to answer before you even consider starting it. I just made a video on those 3 questions, and you can watch that here.